Morning everyone. For literacy's lesson today, you will need your pen or your pencil, some coloured pens or pencils. Oh, it's back to front. You will also need your copy of Jim and the Beanstalk. Have a really good look round, see if you can find that. Maybe it's in your book, maybe it's still in your pack. And you will also need your English book. Okay, get those things together and I'll see you in a minute. So last week we worked on the letters M and N in handwriting. This week we're going to work on the letter R. So we start halfway up our line, go straight down, up and over. And again, you need that little bit of a stalk there. You don't want to have an R that has no top part to it. Okay, so let's do some R's which are not joined to anything. You can do a whole line of those, please. And then leave a blank line and we'll do R joined together. Now, when you do the R, you don't have to go all the way down, then come all the way up again. You're joining in, you go up a tiny bit and then down, up a tiny bit and then down, okay? They look a little bit funny joined together, the R's. It can give you a bit of a headache, but keep on practicing, they will get easier. Now, my R's here are beginning to get a little bit big because I'm using quite a thick pen. So let me see if I can bring them down a little bit. Okay, I'm happy with those. Right, let's try the word rabbit. So start halfway up your line. So from the top of the R, make a curly K. So you go to the top of the A, make that curly K shape into an A, nice and tall for the B, round, break letter, nice and tall for the B, break letter, and then the I and the T. Rabbit. Right, let's try again. Nice and tall for the B, up and over and round, start up high, up and over and round, and then I and T. Rabbit. So can you do a few of those? And if you'd really like to challenge yourself, like some of my lovely children did last week, you can put that spelling in a sentence. Okay. So our learning today, our TLP is, can I spot adverbial phrases and begin to use them in my writing? So in year 2, we talked about adverbs. Adverbs are the words like quickly, slowly, stealthily, that describe a verb. Now, adverbial phrases is more than one word, it's few words that also describe verbs, but they can also describe adjectives and even other adverbs. Don't worry too much about that. We don't want to get into too much detail of it. But basically what they do is they add information to our sentences. And you can have adverbial phrases about when something's happening, about where something's happening, and about how it happens. So we're going to go really slowly. And today we're just thinking about adverbial phrases that show us where something is happening. So what are the phrases here, the adverbial phrases that show us where something is happening? So this is what you need your pens for. I'm going to get a blue pen. We're going to go through some of the sentences together, pick out a few of these adverbial phrases that tell us where something is happening, and then we are going to try and write a few sentences using some. So, early one morning, Jim woke up and saw an enormous plant growing outside his window. That's where it was growing. It wasn't growing in his room, it wasn't growing in his toilet, it was growing outside his window. That's funny, he said. It wasn't there yesterday. I'll see how high it goes. And he began to climb up the plant. That is where he is going. Whew, it certainly is a big plant, he said as he went into the clouds. Now, I know from last week you've got some of these said words underlined. Don't worry about those. We don't need to worry at the moment. So can everyone see how these phrases, which just means more than one word, add information to our sentence? Where is the plant growing? He began to climb up the plant. I suppose he could have climbed down up the roots of it, but it would be a bit tricky. And he went into the clouds. That gives us a bit more information about how tall the beanstalk is. When he reached the top of the plant, it's another where, Jim saw a castle. I'm hungry, he said. I'll ask at the castle. So again, where's he going to ask? He's going to ask at the castle. I'll ask at the castle for breakfast. I hope they have some cornflakes. Jim ran to the castle. So he ran to the castle and knocked on the door. Oh, where did he knock? He knocked on the door. We're finding loads now, aren't we? He waited and waited until the door was slowly opened by a very old giant. So there's no more information there about where. So these are some of our adverbial phrases that show us where. Now, what I'd like you to do is just go through a few more. You don't have to do the whole story, that would take you a long time. But can you pick out any more little phrases that tell us where something is happening? Where something is happening. Oh, I can spot one there. 3 fried boys on a slice of toast. On a slice of toast. Okay, keep having a look through, see how many more you can underline. Okay, so I've collected some of these that I quite like onto my piece of paper. You don't have to do this step, that's okay. You can just take them straight from your piece of paper, but I've written them out nice and large so everyone can see them. Okay, so now we've finished with this, so I can move that out of the way. Right, let me just check you can see that. Perfect. So our TLP for today is, can I spot adverbial phrases? And we'll begin to use them in our sentence. Now, generally, these where adverbial phrases don't come at the beginning of the sentence, okay? They could come at the beginning of the sentence, but generally they come somewhere in the middle or possibly at the end. So I'm just going to write some sentences. I don't want to just copy what we've said, but I can use the similar sort of ideas. So I'm going to start with Jim saw a huge beanstalk outside his window. So without my adverbial phrase, that would be fine. Jim saw a huge beanstalk. It would be a sentence, it has a verb, it makes sense. It's got a subject, it's got a verb, it totally makes sense. So I could put my full stop there. But by adding the adverbial phrase outside his window, it gives us more information. And again, I'm going to use my pens because I do like using my pens. You can use pencils as well in your book. And just underline which bit is the adverbial phrase. So can I spot adverbial phrases? Yes, I can. And I know I can because I'm underlining them. Right, might leave a little line here. Up the plant. Up the plant? Up the plant. He quickly scrambled up the plant. Now quickly, again, like I said, is an adverb as well. But it's not the adverbial phrase I'm looking for at the moment. He quickly scrambled, great verb, instead of went or climbed, scrambled up the plant. And again, I'm gonna embellish this a little bit. I'm going to say up the giant plant. Make it an even longer adverbial phrase. So we don't have to just use the ones we've got. We can improve them. We can change them slightly. He quickly scrambled up the giant plant. I might say the beanstalk reached high into the clouds. The beanstalk, although of course he doesn't know it's a beanstalk to start with, does he? But never mind. The beanstalk reached, again it's a good verb, high, into the clouds. Full stop. Okay, so you can use some of the adverbial phrases from your story. Remember, you don't have to write them out like this. You can just use them straight from the story and kind of make up your own sentences. You can use the idea from Jim, but try and think of your own slight sentence. Okay, so you select the right level of challenge for you. So you can do 3 or 4 sentences, or if you really want to push yourself, let's do some more. Remember, as writers, and that's what we are, we're always trying to create a picture in our readers' heads. So the more rich your adverbial phrases, the more detail you can give to your reader. The other thing I'd really recommend you do, I've put a link in the box below to a BBC Bite Size page all about adverbs and adverbial phrases. Please do have a little look at that. It's very useful and interesting. Okay, see you soon.